What's up, gear mortals? Trey Xavier here. Today I want to talk about a very important topic. That is, what is a cab IR and how do I use it? You may have heard this term thrown around, cab IR. They're also called cab sims or impulses. The IR stands for impulse response. But the important thing that you need to know is that it's a digital version of a guitar speaker cab, a physical guitar speaker cab like these ones I've got over here. Okay, this is a massive 12 by 12 stack. It weighs a ton. They sound amazing. These are ones from Rev. There are many, many physical speaker cabs on the market, and they're wonderful. I love many of them. I have owned many, but when you bring it into the digital realm, the possibilities are endless. I have been lucky to make cab IRs of my own. You can find those in the link in the description, but how they're made isn't really important for you, the end user. What's important is to know how to use them, how to load them up, where to find them, and just in general, what to do with them. So that's what we're going to cover today. The first thing I'm going to do is demonstrate to you why it is that you need a cab IR. It's extremely simple. If you have ever heard the sound of an electric guitar, really what you're hearing is the guitar through whatever pedals and effects are going on, through the amp head, and then through a physical guitar speaker cab, which is then mic'd up with a microphone or 3 or 7 or whatever, and then having that go into a preamp and then into whatever you're using to record it. But if you've ever heard the sound of a guitar amp head without a cab, then you understand what it is that a guitar cab actually does. And aside from just making it louder, it also sort of narrows the frequency range into a place where it sounds good. It's not a full frequency, full range speaker like on a PA. It's its own thing. Guitar speakers are different from full range speakers. So check this out. Here's what a guitar amp sounds like with no speaker cab on it at all. It's gnarly, I know. It kind of sounds like a fuzz pedal. There's a lot of very harsh high end. Now this is a very high gain amp tone, of course. Now, I'm gonna show you what it sounds like without it, and then I'm gonna add one on. Check this out. Isn't that so much better? Of course, that first sound is super brutal and very harsh, and there are certain kinds of music where you might think that's amazing. But for general consumption purposes, you need to have some kind of speaker cab sound on there. So a digital cab IR is great for a number of reasons. Number one being that you can download hundreds, thousands of them on your computer, and it takes up almost no space at all. You could fit probably the entirety of digital cab IRs that have ever been made on like a 5 gig hard drive. They're really small, they're extremely easy to use, and it is a huge, huge part of your tone. Even just going through 3 or 4 different IRs, you'll be able to hear just worlds and worlds of difference in changing out just this one thing. Check this out. Those are just different microphones on the same cab. Not even a different guitar cab, just different microphone sounds on the exact same physical guitar cab. In this case, it's a Carvin Legacy. These are all from my pack if you want to check them out. It's so different, it's almost like a completely different amp, but it's the same exact amp tone, the same pedals, the same performance, everything. All we've done is change out the IR. So how do you do this at home on your DAW? It's pretty simple. First of all, you have to record a guitar amp sound with no cab. I have a video on how to reamp or record this kind of thing at home. You can also use an amp sim. If you're playing metal, I really like Emissary from Ignite Amps. That's also free as free gets, so that's one to try out. But if you have like a home recording rig where you can record the dry sound of your amp with no cab on it, that's ideal. I personally use the 2 Notes Torpedo Reload because it has everything in it that you need for recording DIs, reamping. It's a load box. It's got all kinds of cool stuff in it. It's kind of expensive. There are other ways to do the same thing, but that's the one that I've found that does everything all in one. So once you've recorded or reamped your dry amp tone into your DAW, you're going to need something to load these cab sounds into your DAW on the same track or a bus so that you can hear the amp and cab together. So what you're going to need to do that is a cab IR loader. There are many out there. I like a lot of them. I'm currently using Pulse from Lancaster Audio because it is free as the wind blows, super easy to use, and it comes with a cab. And it's also pretty powerful considering all of that stuff. So you can find that at lancasteraudio.com. It works on multiple different platforms. Check it out. Once you've got your IR loader loaded up on the track, that's kind of when the hard part starts. And the hard part is picking out what IR is best for the sound that you're going for. Every cab loader is slightly different. The way that Pulse works is real simple. You've got two sides. You can turn them on or off. And then here we've got Pulse or external IR. If you have Pulse selected, what you're hearing is the built-in Pulse cab, which sounds like this. Pretty cool. If you select external IR, then you have to hit the folder and load up the IRs that you've got in your library. So that will load up an entire folder's worth of IRs for you to browse, peruse at your leisure. Let's just go through a couple and check it out. The cab that you choose is going to be based on a ton of different things. Your personal preference, the style of music that you play, what kind of guitar, amp, and effects you've got going on. And more than anything else, in my personal opinion, is going to be how it sits in the mix. So, you know, is it going to be very mid-forward? Is it going to be very round sounding, a lot of low end, a lot of high end? There's so many different sounds that you could possibly be going for. I even have one in here called the Honeytone, which is from a Honeytone amp from Dan Electro, and the speaker is like this big. It's like the whole amp is like this big, and I did it basically as like a fun novelty kind of sound. Here's what it sounds like. And that sounds ridiculous by itself. Obviously, you couldn't really use that for your main guitar tone for like a big, beefy, heavy metal sound, but every now and again, you might need something fun, lo-fi, really honky. And so that's something you can get with just the push of a button. And that's just one cab pack. Imagine what it would be like if you had hundreds or thousands of these at your disposal. This is a nearly godlike power for any musician or engineer to have. Because if you stop and consider what it would cost and the amount of effort you would have to put in to mic up and record every single one of these cabs, or just to have them or have access to them, it would be ridiculous. Any one good quality speaker cab, like a 4x12 speaker cab, can be $1,000 or $1,500. So if you think about having literally hundreds of those at your disposal, at your fingertips, this is really a good deal. Guitar speaker cab IRs can be a bit of a rabbit hole, but I highly recommend that you go down that rabbit hole and you get that rabbit, because as you've heard, it can be completely transformative for your guitar tone. Really, it can be the difference between having great guitar tone and having bad guitar tone. And it's definitely worth a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, possibly a little bit of money. On that note, if you enjoyed the cab sounds that you heard in this video today and you want to support me and the channel, there's a link in the description below where you can check out the Trey Xavier cab pack from Lancaster Audio. I, of course, would greatly appreciate that, and I want to hear the kinds of sounds that you guys get out of it and what you think of it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, mash that subscribe button for more reviews and original content, and I'll see you real soon.